Students of Advanced Composition, this is Dr. Adams. I am going to talk today about stasis theory. This is a concept that came up in Ancient Rhetorics for Contemporary Students, Chapter 3, and I think that you might have some misconceptions about stasis theory or some confusion about the way it's discussed in our textbook. It's a pretty complicated idea, especially given the way that we usually think about argument and disagreement in contemporary culture. I think that stasis theory leads us in a different direction than we're used to going. So let's talk a little bit about this term, first by defining it. What is stasis? Well, according to the authors of our textbook, Crowley and Haughey, they say that stasis is the point about which all parties to an argument can agree that they disagree. The first thing I want you to notice about this is that this definition says all parties. It doesn't say both parties, which the difference here is that there can be more than two opinions for every issue. And I know you know that, but sometimes we get stuck in that rut of thinking about a side has, every issue has one side or the other. So remember that for most issues, there are many viewpoints, many sides. Okay. So this is the point about which all parties to an argument can agree that they disagree. Well, I think that when we hear agree to disagree, because that term, that language gets volleyed about quite a bit these days, agree to disagree, I think, usually means something along these lines. Let's agree to disagree and quietly resent each other. Or maybe in a less tongue-in-cheek way, we could say that agreeing to disagree is really where conversation and dialogue and argument stops. You've kind of found the place where the dialogue and the discussion is really just stopped, and it's a stopping point. You've agreed to disagree because you can't go forward. You can't move forward, so you're out of options, so you agree to disagree. However, in ancient rhetorical theory, stasis is not about shutting down discussion at all. It's not about being frustrated or just feeling like you don't have any ability to kind of productively move a discussion forward. It's the opposite. Stasis, according to ancient rhetorical theory, is about figuring out how to dive into an argument in a productive way, how to move your dialogue based on disagreement forward in a useful manner. So let's talk about this more, because it's kind of a hard thing to get our head wrapped around. A lot of times when we have disagreements in society, issues about which we can't agree, the people who are contributing to the conversation really speak past each other. And this is the example that's given in the book about abortion. It's why abortion can be a really good example and illustration for this chapter, because in the abortion debate, people often come from a very personal or political or moral position, but ultimately the conversation sort of misses connecting in a meaningful way. They talk past each other, as is represented by this little picture here. What we want to do is to meet stasis. It means that you figure out the part of the issue or the quality of the issue that you are both going to address at the same time. And that allows you, when you do that, when you meet stasis, that means that you're ready to go. It's a starting line. It's not a finish line. It's a starting line. You're ready to engage each other in some sort of debate or dialogue or argument. It can be heated. It can be impassioned. It can be rigorous in a productive way. It should be. But meeting stasis is where you really dive in. Let me give you an example that might help you think through this with some more clarity. Let's talk about the issue of teen pregnancy. Now, there are lots of reasons that most of us should be concerned with teen pregnancy. It is an issue that is linked to education. It is an issue that in many ways is linked to poverty and cycles of poverty. It's an issue that is related to religion and morality and ethics. These are big social concerns. They're concerns that should be your concern as voters and citizens. But so this is an issue that shouldn't just kind of be only segmented to one part of the population. It should be something that we all have some sort of interest in, because we all should be caring about our national economy, about the ways that religious and moral issues are kind of dealt with in our society, education, which is something that we all experience and you're experiencing right now as college students. So how do we talk about teen pregnancy when we actually sort of track the discourse? Well, it's usually discussed as an issue related to maybe personal responsibility or irresponsibility, issues of sex education, emergency contraception, dependency on the state and systems of welfare, morality and how it might be in decline among young people. So here I'm not tracing neatly the two sides or multiple sides of an issue. I'm just kind of throwing out some buzzwords or some ideas that might sound familiar if you hear about teen pregnancy. So by coming at the issue in these different ways, they don't necessarily match up. If I'm concerned about dependency on the state and you're concerned about women's right to get emergency contraception, well, we're talking kind of about two different issues, even though the big issue is teen pregnancy. So these various approaches to addressing the same issue often do not meet stasis. We end up talking past each other. What might stasis look like in this particular situation? Well, we can all agree, and you hear this when you listen to presidential debates or different political discussions, you often hear this issue brought up by saying we can all agree that underprepared young people having children is not ideal for anyone involved. It doesn't matter what your stance on the economy, on personal liberties, on religion, on education and education reform. I mean, I don't think anyone really wants to see someone who's not prepared have a child and have to deal with that child, no matter what part of the spectrum you're on in terms of this issue. So starting there is starting with stasis. It's saying, okay, we're not talking past each other. We're talking about the same part of the issue. It's sort of a starting ground. It's a starting point. So just to recap, stasis is not this, can't talk, we agree to disagree, frustration. No, not at all. Stasis is this. It's diving in. It's getting started. Here's a little shout out to Elton John. Diving into debate, into argument in a productive way. Okay, hopefully that clears up and gives you some better understanding of the concept of stasis. Not necessarily stasis questions, but the concept of stasis most generally. If you have questions, definitely let me know. Thanks, everyone.